The shadow Dorian Yates at the 1993 Mr. Olympia vs. Samir Bannout, the Lion of Lebanon, or in Arabic Asad Lubnan at the 1983 Mr. Olympia when he won the title once, a distinction shared with Chris Dickerson in 1982 and Dexter Jackson in 2008. Samir was known for having among the greatest back areas ever, and he is underrated because when people talk about the greatest back, they usually mention Ronnie, Dorian, Phil Heath, and Lee Haney. But Samir is there among the best, and it's fair to say that he might be among the top 3 when it comes to the back development. Samir stands 5 feet and 8 inches tall and weighs around 230 pounds, while Dorian stands almost 5 feet and 11 inches tall and weighs around 270 pounds. The front double biceps shows that Dorian is considerably bigger. He has the longer torso, which adds to the symmetry of this pose. Dorian was not known for having powerful biceps, but against Samir, who didn't have special biceps either, he would easily stand his own. Both have powerful lats, but Dorian has the more massive and the better separated quads, while Samir has the more aesthetic midsection. They both look impressive, but Dorian would win it. Although Samir won the title in 1983, you can hardly find a decent front lat spread photo, so excuse me for the bad quality. Dorian is definitely more massive and better conditioned with his wider chest, shoulders, and quads. Dorian hits one of the most impressive front lat spread poses ever, and would definitely overpower Samir in this pose. The side chest shows their great conditioning with visible striations in the chest and the shoulders, but Dorian is obviously better conditioned and has the more rounded chest and the more massive shoulders. Both maintain a tight midsection, with Dorian having the better ripped hamstrings and glutes. You might be surprised for having this matchup, as Dorian is obviously more dominant and wins most of the mandatory poses. This is true, but the purpose of making this comparison is to show you how great Samir's back was in his prime, even against Dorian, who arguably had the best back ever. Dorian's shoulders are more massive as we saw in the side chest, but they both have very powerful and symmetrical backs with the massive and the ripped traps that perfectly connect with their shoulders and defined lats. They both have striated lower back that form a Christmas tree. Dorian, however, has the more developed and better ripped hamstrings and glutes. Although Dorian had among the greatest calves next to Mike Matarazzo, Samir also had powerful calves. This shot is seconds before hitting the rear lat spread, and it shows the striated Christmas trees. But it also shows that Dorian is more massive with the more powerful upper traps. Samir almost has no rear lat spread photos from 1983 except this shot, which shows that he had the width and the thickness, but definitely won't be enough to match Dorian's lats. The abs and thighs shows that both have tight midsection, but Samir had very aesthetic and symmetrical abs in his prime, and could be easily listed among those who have incredible abs. But unfortunately, he was underrated, as the likes of Ahmed Haidar, Flex Wheeler, and Thierry Pastel are usually mentioned. Nevertheless, he has the more aesthetic and defined midsection than Dorian, who has the more massive and the better separated quads. But I would give this pose to Samir. The most muscular shows that both are ripped with striated chest and shoulders, but Dorian was around 30 pounds heavier, and it would show in this pose, which is mainly about showing the greatest amount of muscularity possible. Samir looks incredibly ripped with powerful traps, but Dorian would dominate with his size and thickness and would win this pose. So Dorian would win most of the poses except for the abs and thighs. But the back double biceps shows that Samir had a great back which was complete, defined and ripped, and could match Dorian's more massive back. However, Dorian would still win this pose because he had the better hamstrings and glutes. That was all for this video. Thanks for watching and have a nice one.